What up, y'all? So back at it again with some standard Hearthstone. Today I've got Aggro Druid. I've been trying to figure out some new decks to really go down a new avenue in this metagame because it seemed like for a while it was just like Bubble Paladin or Herald Shaman. So I've been looking around trying to find some cool stuff. Thankfully, they also just came up with some new cards, so there's some new things that you can earn through different rewards in the game. And that opens some stuff up for Warrior as well as I think Druid is playing the guy that gets you a Colossus from the past, but regardless, I like this build right here. I think this is pretty snazzy. It's aggressive, but it's different than the Aggro Druid that we've kind of seen for the most part. So a lot of this is you're starting with Crystalspine Cub and Twilight Egg, stuff like that, but having Platysaur and some of these other things is really interesting, I think, because we're getting the combination of aggressive mana with Innervate and Felwood Treant. And then we've also got like the eggs in here. So Longneck Egg, really interesting card, as well as Twilight Egg. And then there's a bunch of ways that you can just make a big team and bash, like Hatchery Helper. Ravenous Flock, surprisingly decent. I mean, it's 2 mana for 6 attack worth of minions, so it's kind of hard to argue. And Overheat can be a real all-star in this deck. And obviously, huge part of the deck is Wildwood Circle. Obviously. But then Wickerfang, last thing I'll mention, is pretty awesome in this deck because not only is Wickerfang great by himself, but if you play something like Forest Gift on one of the little appendages of Wickerfang, then it also pumps Wickerfang. So you just end up with a lot of cool little interactions in this deck. Very interesting, very aggressive, so let's get going with it.
Hazelbark versus Illidan.
The Legion's rage pales before mine.
Alright, Demon Hunter is very likely Spell Demon Hunter. I don't think there's any other reasonable Demon Hunter decks that are played in this metagame. Seems like a pretty easy mulligan. I'm thinking... Normally, Felwood Treant is a pretty good keep because early on, it's pretty easy to get to spending 4. It's easy to get this guy off. But sometimes you just want an aggressive start, and I think if I have Ravenous Flock and Crystalspine Cub along with the coin, I probably want to dig for something like Overheat, Wildwood Circle, Hatchery Helper, something like that. That's kind of my feeling here. So a lot of times, I mean, honestly, most of the time I keep this guy, but I think it's correct to throw it back in this instance. Well, there's an Overheat. That's nice. Ooh. And Twilight Eggs means we can activate this guy on turn 1. So this could be pretty good here. Oh, wow. You don't see Slumbering Sprite too often in my experience, so we'll see what we do here. So Crystalspine Cub, a little worse than it used to be since it's a 1-1 now instead of a 1-2 after that last nerf. So if I play this, they're going to probably just hero power, attack it, and take 2, which is fine. It's not the best, but it does give us... Oh, just kidding. I always forget it gets +1/+1. It's not +1/+0. Okay, so they can't kill it. Even better. Oh my god. But yeah, the one health is surprisingly relevant with this card. I'm still baffled. I think there's many times where I'm just in denial of how good a card is, and you're like, it can't be +1/+1, right? It's +1/+0. Just, nope, completely remembering wrong. Jeez. Okay, so with Ravenous Flock, we've got a nature spell next turn for Overheat, I think. These aren't going to be able to attack, but it will pump them, which is pretty nice. And this is exactly why I like this deck. It's quite aggressive, and you can spam the board and pump your guys very easily. Let's see. Yeah, Mossbinding, surprisingly good card as you get into the later turns. That's something you generally want to look out for with aggressive decks, is how do they play into like turn 4, 5, 6, etc. Like if your opponent finds ways to hold off your aggression, then, you know, when you get to turn 4, 5, or 6 and you don't have a solid board state, how do you create one and then make up for that lost momentum? And Mossbinding is a very good example of that. Because, like, you play that on turn 6, you just make 2 5/7s. It's pretty solid. So Overheat is fine here. I would get to bash for quite a bit. This would be 6 plus another 2 here, so I could bash for 8. They're going to get this one 2 turns, 3 turns, 2 turns there.
What was I thinking of again?
A little interesting that they quite literally have not done anything but play dormant minions this entire game so far. It does make me a little bit hesitant to just run with the Overheat, but I think it's kind of hard to justify anything else. Like with a board like this, if you don't Overheat, I feel like it's a waste, so let's just go for it. $12, $18, and that puts, I've got lethal on board now, which is even better. Ah, there it is. I was wondering if the Serpent was coming. That makes a lot more sense. So this only pumps the egg, which is a little lame. I can go Treant into this guy, and then, you know, I pump 2 minions, but not amazing. If I do this, I can actually throw the egg at this, and then I'm getting a 5/5 out of it. And dealing 12 to their face.
What was I thinking of again?
I mean, the ideal situation here is Longneck into this guy, because then I can start attacking with this, pumping the rest of the team, but I don't think that's a reasonable expectation at this point. They're going to get one of these next turn and one the turn after, and then they can also attack here. So, sadly, I think this is the play. And it does put a guy in the way for their other dormant guy's ability, so I think this is a good position. Still a little confused on what they're doing over there. Seems like all I've seen are dormant minions and a serpent. Now, in this position, this is really interesting. I feel like, I don't know what's in their hand, but I do feel like it's probably worth trying to play this out. This is a very good position for me, but I know a lot of people that would just give up in this instance. There we go, especially if you have stuff like Illidari Studies. Yeah, seems awesome. Victoria, welcome to the Twitch chat. Tell me your favorite Hearthstone card. Wow. Victoria, last chance. The way that I weed out the spam and the bots is I ask what your favorite Hearthstone card is. If you can't answer, I don't answer anymore. So let me know your favorite Hearthstone card. Ooh, Forest Gift is a great draw here. I like that a lot. Let's see. Longneck Egg. Can I just take them out here even if they gain 5? I think they're just dead, right? Yeah, 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 you know, yeah. We just go smack here, they go to 9, and then we hit them for 12. Yeah. Kaboom. Yogg-Saron is a good answer. All right. Why Yogg-Saron? Alright, so 1-0 love this deck. This is a great example of the aggression that the deck has to offer. So I think this is a great place to start from. We'll see how this goes as we face other decks, though, because this does get a little bit tougher depending on what you're playing against. There are some warrior decks that are a tough matchup for this, but let's go. Okay, well, Victoria has started using explicitives and speaking in a different language. I guess that makes a lot more sense. That's crazy. Yeah. Alright, so we've now got... Boom. Okay. Yeah, some of this Twitch stuff is just crazy. I'm amazed that... Okay, fantastic hand so far. We're going to throw back Mossbinding. Force Gift is not bad, but it's not super great either with this hand. I like Overheat. It's normally worth keeping. I kind of want to do this, though. I think we do that. Oof, okay, yeah, Living Roots makes the Forest Gift a little bit better, but I think Twilight Egg into Mark of the Wild is the best way to go here. Let's see what we can do. Oh my goodness, yeah, we can do some serious stuff here. Okay, this is kind of the nuts. We'll see if... We'll see if this priest player can keep up, but we're going to do some busted things. This is a nature spell, so I can go a couple ways here. I think Living Roots off the coin is the way to go. Now I can just Overheat next turn off of Innervate, but it does cause me to discard my entire hand, which I'm not a huge fan of. Or I could Mark of the Wild this. Oh, wow. Okay. So Mark of the Wild makes this a 2/5, which is... What's the best return on our investment here? If this discards Innervate, that would actually be amazing, and that's... The probability is in my favor a little bit. I think we're going to try it. Well, I guess it's not in my favor. It's a 50-50, but that's still pretty... Yes! It's still pretty reasonable. That's incredible. Alright, so bashing for... What is that? 8 on turn 2. Seems good. Ooh, and that's a very good card for them. Well, I guess we just Mark of the Wild and keep on bashing. I don't think I can justify like throwing 2 damage here. I don't think getting 2 1/1s is going to make too much of a difference. Like, if I draw another Overheat or Hatchery Helper or something like that, that would be amazing, but I think the odds are so low of something like that happening. And I also don't want to just throw out everything I have. So I think I sit here for a minute or two. I've got 10 attack on board, so that's essentially a 2-turn clock if they're at 18. It really depends on how or what they have available from this point on. Ooh, okay. Holy Nova's unfortunate. Sure thing. So maybe the 2 damage was the call, since it would have spared me a minion there. But I think we're still in a great spot. Now this one, this will prevent them from gaining life, which is fantastic. And we've got Wickerfang in another turn or 2, which is awesome. But I really like this deck. It's hands like this that, you know, turn 2 swinging for 8. How do you argue with that? It's just so good. And I'm generally not a huge fan of aggro decks, but every once in a while you have an aggro deck that like still requires some nuance and like some, you know, interesting combination of cards. So, all right, now that's unfortunate. A 3/6 lifesteal makes this a little tougher. But yeah, Wickerfang is a pretty solid card, and we're just gonna keep on bashing, see what we can get done here. Yo, what up, Moon Jockey? Welcome, welcome to the Twitch chat. Yeah, I do find it a little funny that after all of the aggressive Druid decks, I was like, alright, I gotta find something else. And then full circle, Bubble Paladin becomes way too good. And then we come to this point where I'm like, you know what, let's play Aggro Druid. Like, it's just funny to me because I was trying not to play something like that for the longest time.
I will cast you down.
Now, this is unfortunate. They've got some good ways to slow us down here. Wickerfang, I will get only 3 of the 4 legs. But I think that's okay. Wickerfang, pretty good. So 3 of them means it's going to be a 3/8, which they can then attack and kill, which I don't like. I could go the Platysaur route, because I can play everything in my deck. That might actually be a little better. Only problem is if I whiff on the draw, then I'm in a kind of a worse position here. Finally got Legend today with Aggro Paladin. Let's go, Moon Jockey. Well done. Well done. Felwood Treant. Alright, not great. Yeah, this is unfortunate. Alright, so that was kind of a whiff on the draw. Yeah, Aggro Paladin, really interesting deck, Moon Jockey. It's pretty solid. It seems like a decent deck. Not quite the same as the Aggro Paladin we had in last format, but very interesting nonetheless. I think... Okay, now this is kind of interesting here. I think I just throw my guys here. The next 3 spells you play cast twice. That could be really bad. Eesh. Alright, I think... Yeah, you can have your life. That's fine. But I think in this case, that'll be 5 minions. I think I just gotta go for this. Yeah, that's the only bad thing about the aggro decks is like if you can't come up with a good board position and maintain that momentum, then sometimes they just end up coming back. Yeah, the mega chatty opponents are the worst ones, man. All right, so Moonwell casting twice, sure. Yeah, I love how people get really, really cocky. Yeah, now they're just like, oops at everything. Alright, dude, you're annoying. Anyways, Mossbinding, very good card. I like this. That's going to make some big guys. Yeah, this reminds me a lot of some of the Magic players that would be like, really like taunting you basically. I've played Magic the Gathering for so long that it's like I feel like I've encountered basically every archetype of player. Ooh, well that was unfortunate.
You show great valor.
And this is like the worst one in my opinion. They're like they started off just losing this game real bad, and then once they gain traction they're like, oh yeah, now I can start talking smack. It's like, dude, you weren't this aggressive in the beginning when you were losing. As soon as you start winning you get chatty? Okay. This game is basically over. I'm just going to see how the next couple of turns play out. Yeah, it's very interesting, the dynamics and like all of the psychology that goes into gameplay, because you see this in every game. Those people that are like talking smack as soon as they start winning, but then they get real quiet when they're losing. Do you ever play Battlegrounds? Yes, Moonjockey. I've definitely played a lot of Hearthstone Battlegrounds. That's actually how I started my YouTube channel, is by playing Battlegrounds. Yeah, alright, so they definitely got us here.
Impressively done. A tree falls.
Alright, so 1-1 after 2 games. Not the worst, but this is, that is what happens sometimes. The Priest and the Warrior matchup sometimes is a little bad. And we started off with a very good start. Very strong. I think, what did we bashed for 8 on turn 2. But they definitely had enough to stem the aggression. Still thinking back to that turn, dealing 2 damage to the Bitterbloom guy, that might have made a difference in some of that momentum, but I don't know if that would have made enough difference to actually win the game. I think it just would have changed the momentum over those next couple of turns. So, is what it is, but let's see what we can do. 1-1.
Hazelback versus Kane.
Alright, another Demon Hunter. Let's see if we can make quick work of this one like we did the last one. Interesting. So, Hatchery Helper and Overheat, not good together, because, I mean, you got to play Hatchery Helper first, and sometimes you don't have that luxury. It's like, sometimes these can get a little cluttered. So, I generally like to choose one or the other when I'm figuring out my opening hand. Platysaur, also a little rough in the early turns, because sometimes, you can draw Wickerfang, or you can draw Wildwood Circle, and then just lose it. So, I'm thinking, and to be fair, if you're yelling at the screen right now and you're like, well, you just play Hatchery Helper first and then Overheat. Yeah, okay, I got it. I'm just saying. Like, in those early turns, you don't always have that luxury. I don't love this, but I'm thinking about it. I don't know if throwing back Platysaur is worth it, but we're going to try. Okay, so Living Roots makes this much better. I'm tempted to Platysaur on turn 1, but I had a Nature Spell in hand. I did have a Nature Spell in hand for the Overheat, that is true. But there are so many Nature Spells in this deck. I don't know, I feel like drawing Overheat is a little bit better than starting with it in your hand, depending on the hand. If I had a Living Roots in my hand with the Overheat, I definitely would have, but with a hand like this, to me it seems like kind of a stretch. Then I feel like I'd have to, like I could throw away Platysaur and Hatchery Helper and keep just the Overheat, but I feel like then it's getting a little bit worse. I don't know. That's kind of personal preference, but I'm not sure if that's like a position I can like objectively rationalize. Living Roots pass, I guess. I could Platysaur. That seems a little loose. Yeah, we're just gonna play a bunch of dudes. Ooh, you know what? Actually, nah. So turn 2 we've got Ravenous Flock, and then turn 3 we've got Hatchery Helper. Yeah, maybe the Platysaur is worth throwing back, I guess. Still kind of experimenting with some of the mulligans in this deck. There's the Overheat, looking good. Yeah, we'll chill there. And I could go Platysaur and then Hatchery Helper. Makes it a little bit harder to kill, but I mean, they do have a 3/3. What, that's +1/+2, so it becomes a 2/4. Still very likely it could die. I don't know.
The seas belong to us.
Oh, you don't say. Well, so much for our Hatchery Helper turn. I mean, we still could. It's a little bit worse with only 3 guys. 5 guys is incredible. So if I Platysaur into another 1-drop, this could be crazy good with Hatchery Helper. But having the Innervate for the Overheat is also pretty solid here. So I don't think I can justify Platysaur. Yeah, I guess we just Hatchery Helper and pass. It's not amazing, but we're definitely doing something.
Lord Illidan's wisdom has never failed.
Sure, Eye Beam is a good card. Oof. Okay, that's a little rough. Alright, fair enough. Well, no Overheat for us now. 1 mana away from Felwood Treant, so yeah, Platysaur is amazing now. Into Living Roots, cool. So... and then this gives us 1 additional, so we're going to go to 1 mana, and then we Overheat. Yeah, I think this is fine. This is kind of like a spray and pray here at this point, because now we just go here, Overheat, discard the Innervate, and we're going to pray that we can get there. Like, what is this, 9, 13, 17 attack on board? So, decent position, but there are plenty of things they could do to disrupt this. That Armored Bloodleader was very good for them there. Yeah, that guy... oh, man. It's nice to see that Herald's Demon Hunter is on the ladder more than it was before. It was kind of a bummer that Herald Demon Hunter just stopped getting played for like a solid 2 weeks. There was some every now and then, but I always thought it had more potential than it got credit for. Whoo! Oh, snap. Here we go. That was pretty good. Kind of the best possible draw there.
If I must.
Wildwood Circle, one of those cards that can just completely take over the game. It's like a worse Flight Maneuvers. Flight Maneuvers, fantastic card. Wildwood Circle, like a hair below it. Something about that Divine Shield, it's pretty good. Who would have thought? Alright, so they clear all those out, and cool. So unless they can gain a life, or... yeah. And we got them. So 2-1. Alright, so not too bad so far, but only played Demon Hunter and Priest, so I'm hoping we get a better kind of mix of heroes to play against, so let's see.
Hazelbark versus Queen Ashara.
Alright, Mage is definitely a change-up of heroes.
You have my attention.
Yeah, everything I've seen so far in this metagame makes it seem like Warrior's probably going to be the strongest class, which is kind of no different from the last metagame. I think Warrior was pretty darn powerful for a long time before rotation. This is a weird hand. So double Innervate can be fantastic if you got something to do with it, but turn 1 Longneck Egg with nothing else is not super great. So... I'm thinking I might do this. I like Longneck Egg, but sometimes it just doesn't hit, especially when your opponent has the ability to throw stuff at it easily, like a mage or a priest would, or like warrior with torch and all that type of stuff. So I think I do this. Yeah, there's nothing sweeter than having double Innervate in your opening hand, though. That's just awesome. Whew! Alright, Mark of the Wild would have been great with Longneck Egg, but obviously you want to have a little bit more than that. Alright, here we go. So at this rate, we can go turn 2 Mark of the Wild, turn 3 Wildwood Circle off of Innervate, and hopefully we can get there. It's a pretty strong start. Whew! Another Burrow. Okay, that's pretty awesome. Also very interesting to me to see Quest Mage seeing a lot more play recently. Seems like people kind of gave up on the whole like spell damage, like fire mage type of decks, which is unfortunate because I thought those were cool. I didn't think they were going to be like tier 1 ever, but they were a lot of fun. And I feel like having some kind of like a spell mage deck in the format is kind of an interesting way to complement all the different things going on. But I guess Quest Mage is a little better. Sigil of the Seas, quite annoying, but that's the way it goes. Well, let's see what they can do against this. It feels like basically every time there's a rotation and we get a new standard format, it feels like every time I'm like, dang, this is the most powerful standard format that I think I've ever seen. And every now and then there's an exception to that rule, obviously, but for the most part, it just feels like the power creep arguments are so valid. Because every time the format changes, I'm like, this is actually really busted. Like, if we had seen this metagame 2 years ago, we'd be like, what is going on? Like, very craziness. Very craziness, much wow. Okay, pretty solid turn for them there. Yeah, I'm digging the Ravenous Flock. I really like Ravenous Flock in this deck because although you don't get the minions immediately, you can't attack the next turn. They're essentially protected because then your next turn you get them, and then you can do stuff like Wildwood Circle, you know, Longneck Egg, Hatchery Helper, Overheat. It's pretty interesting. But I think we do this and this, and then we're just gonna smackety smack and smack. And this Innervate's hopefully gonna come in handy for an Overheat. Would love to see that after I play the second Wildwood Circle. I'm not super sure I love Longneck Egg in this deck. It's a decent card, but there are some matchups where it's pretty bad. I mean, it is interesting to get a 3/3 off of a 2-mana card. Or I guess it's a 4/4 because it pumps itself and whatever else it has. Interesting. Yeah, Mossbinding, pretty snazzy. Yeah, not sure I can justify just swinging at this guy. I mean, I guess here. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of annoying. Yeah, I'm trying to think my way through this is in, like, I wonder if there's a way that I can gain the value off of these, because these two give me double 2/2s, whereas the rest of these guys give me just one. So maybe using this now is not the ideal use of it because there is potential for more later, but I feel like if they're going to take out any of my minions, they're going to take out the ones that make 2 guys while my board is full. So I don't think I can justify not playing Wildwood Circle there just because, like, oh, I might not get the value, you know, off of the double triggers. But, yeah, thinking out loud there. Yeah, so as suspected, they're going to take those 2 out because that suppresses as much value as they can for me. So that makes sense. All right, Panther Mask. Pretty good card. I really like Panther Mask in this. It's very strong. So this is going to come back with full health and enchantments. No bueno. I guess let's draw 2 cards. Forest Gift, awesome. And Ravenous Flock, okay. I think we do this on one of these guys. This will be plus 7 plus 7. Is it maybe better to go here, I guess? Gives it 9 health instead of 8 health. And then real question here is, how much do I devote to their face versus everything else? I think these are going to go here. Let's do this and this. And I think normally I would have attacked the other way around, using this guy to attack the 5-1, so that I would then keep a full board, but because I have stuff that can refill the board, I'm not super concerned about it. Like, especially because I do have lethal on board, right? They're at 15? Okay, finish your discover. Come on, bruh. Come on, bruh. I'm pretty sure, yeah, okay, it is 15. So we have lethal on board, otherwise I think I would have been pickier about the attacks. Sure. Yeah, they're just dead. What? Okay. So 3-1 after 4 games. Yeah, this deck is aggressive. It does the job, and it does the job well. It's kind of hard to argue with that. This feels very similar to Aggro Paladin. Aggro Paladin, really interesting deck. I think I put up a video playing that deck once, and it did decently. It looks like Aggro Druid is kind of in that same vein. Aggro Druid arguably faster and a little bit more resilient because of things like Wildwood Circle and Mossbinding, Wickerfang, stuff like that. I feel like Aggro Paladin, if you don't get to your flight maneuvers and, you know, overwhelm them quickly enough, then sometimes you just kind of fizzle out, and it's easy for them to overwhelm you, reverse the momentum of the game, and win. So it is what it is, but seems pretty good.
Hazelbark versus Uther.
All right, Uther.
With honor.
We finally see a paladin. All right. Interesting hand here. So this gives us lots of options on how we want to play this. I kind of want to say we should throw back both of these, but I don't know if objectively that's the right call. Like, having this in your opening hand is definitely a step up. I think this could potentially be it, but if I don't get something for turn 1 or 2 even, like, I don't know. I'm going to give this a try like this. We're going to see. If it's wrong, it's wrong. It's the way it goes. There we go. That's pretty nice. Give me a 1-drop on my draw, please, please. Twilight Egg. Oh, so close. Okay, okay. I'm tempted to just turn 1 this thing. It's arguably a little bit better than Cub, I think. Yeah, we're going to run it. Cub is very strong, but I think the Ravenous Flock on turn 1, especially followed by a second one, probably best. And that does make me wish that I hadn't thrown the Hatchery Helper back, but again, had I not drawn the right mix of cards, like if I had Hatchery Helper, Innervate, and I drew like a Forest Gift or a Mark of the Wild, something like that, just would have been horrendous. Perfect. Love that draw. So now we've got a very aggressive start, and they've got, looks like 4 cards in between their 2 flight maneuvers pieces. So good chance that we can get them before they can do anything super crazy. There's them all. All right. The fun begins. And an Overheat. Okay. How do you not Overheat here? I mean, it would suck to lose this one, but I think that's fine. That's really strong. Boom! Just like that. Alright, so Aggro Druid, very good deck. Would you say this is a mid-range deck? Very interesting question, Moonjockey. I would say this is an aggro deck for sure. If anything, I would say that it is a combo aggro deck, but definitely not mid-range. The thing with mid-range, at least this is my understanding of it from my time gaming. The thing with mid-range is mid-range is a deck that can be aggressive in the early game, have solid, middle of the game, as well as having strong guys in the later turns to be able to throw haymakers with. Wickerfang, although it is, I would think about Wickerfang kind of like Leroy Jenkins or one of those cards, where it's like when you play Wickerfang, it should be like the thing that seals the deal to win the game. It's kind of like, what's the other one? The 5-mana 5/7 in Warlock, Doomguard or whatever it is, but the guy that has charge, that essentially when you play it, it's like, okay, now you know the game is over. So yeah, definitely not a mid-range deck, more like combo aggro. But this deck is really awesome, and if you guys want something that's, fairly straightforward, you gotta, like you saw with some of those mulligans, sometimes you gotta make some tough decisions. Like that game where I kept the Platysaur in my opening hand, pretty sure that was just the wrong call, but I am kind of experimenting with some of this stuff to see how these things play out. But for the most part, yeah, Platysaur not a keepable card in the early turns, but strong deck. Hard to argue with this stuff. I would not mind another Panther Mask, but I think that would make it a little bit tougher, especially considering playing Platysaur, because that would kind of mess with the Platysaur draws a little bit, as well as just have a higher cost card in here. The majority of the deck, what is this, 4, so 26 of the 30 cards cost 3 or less, which is a really great thing. I think that gives you the most possibility to be really aggressive in those first 3 turns, because the way that the format's looking is like, you either do the most aggressive thing possible, or you have a combo that will just, essentially win you the game, or you find a way to take control of the game, the way that like Priest and Warrior are doing right now. So very interesting metagame, but I think this is a solid choice for the metagame. So definitely check out the other videos on the YouTube channel, guys. Lots of stuff to check out there, and I'm going to keep posting videos with new decks in the standard format, because there's a lot happening. So peace and love.